Analysis of data. What is it? Analysis of data, it is a process of inspecting, cleaning, transforming and modeling data. For what? To discover useful information, suggesting conclusion, and it helps support decision making. The data analysis process, what it does is, we have collected a huge amount of data, and through the data analysis process, it is converted into small fragments which make sense. It is a creative and fascinating process. Through this, mass of collected data is brought to order, structure and meaning. Before going to the details, please remember to subscribe the channel. Thank you. Analysis of data. Data analysis is how researchers go from a mass of data into meaningful insight. It is a process. There are many different data analysis methods depending on the type of research. Data analysis is the most important component of research because weak analysis produces inaccurate results that not only hamper the authenticity of the research but also make the findings unusable. We have two methods of data analysis. One is quantitative method and the other is qualitative method. Quantitative method. Quantitative data, it is expressed numerically. These data are quantifiable and need to be analyzed mathematically. The mathematical approach used in psychology is statistical analysis. Let's have a look at the steps. First one is data validation. It is done to understand if the collected data sample is per the preset standards or it is biased. That is, the researcher validates the data whether it is useful or not. Second is data editing. It is a process where the researcher have to confirm that the provided data is free of errors. They need to conduct necessary checks and check outliers to edit and make it ready for analysis. The outliers means if you have consider you have a set of data ranging from 30 to 50. Then while you checking the data, you have seen some data with value 1 and some with value 100. Then that will be in two extremes. So all those things are edited out. So the researcher confirm the data is free of error and check the outliers. And the next point is data coding. Out of the all three, this is the most critical phase of data preparation associated with grouping and assigning values to the survey response. If a survey is completed with 1,000 sample size, the researcher will create an age bracket to distinguish the respondent based on their age. For example, 10 to 20 in one group, then 21 to 30 in another group, likewise. So, from the sample size, the researcher will create an age bracket. Then it will become easier to analyze small data buckets rather than looking into the 1,000 sample size. So these are the three steps: data validation, data editing and data coding. Analyzing quantitative data. Usually data are analyzed using descriptive and inferential statistics. Descriptive statistics gives the summary of your data. and it includes measures of averages and variability. You can also use graph, scatter plots and frequencies table to visualize your data and then can check for any trends or outliers. Descriptive statistics are used to get basic information about a data set, and it is important because further step of processing the data depends on this. Descriptive statistics can be used in certain studies. For example, if you are comparing the percentage of children vaccinated in two different villages, then descriptive statistics can be used. Then another study can be the overall satisfaction of the employee with their salary. In these cases, descriptive statistics can be used. The most commonly used descriptive statistics are mean. It is the average score of the data. It is calculated by adding all the score up and dividing them by the number of score. Next is median. It is the central score in the given data set. It is calculated by putting all the score in order and then picking the one in the middle. Next is mode. It is the most common score. It is calculated by looking at the score and finding out which one is presented more times. That is the frequency of the occurrence of that data. Then range. It is the difference between the lowest and the highest score. Another is standard deviation. It is the average distance of each score from the mean. Another is inferential statistics. You can make predictions or generalization based on your data using this inferential statistics. The hypothesis is tested or the data is used to estimate the population parameter. The inferential statistics are used to generalize the result from the sample to the population. In turn, the inferential statistics are used to make conclusions about whether or not a theory has been supported, refuted, or require modification. The analysis shows a relationship between multiple variables. Examples are correlation. It describes the relationship between two variables. For example, to test whether a relationship exists between revision time and exam performance. To study this, correlation is used. Then regression. It shows or predicts relationship between two variables. Correlation describes relationship between two variables and regression shows or predict the relationship between two variables. For example, how much exercise and studying affect overall happiness? What about if more exercise and less study? In another case, more study and less exercise, how it affect your happiness? That is study. Then analysis of variance or ANOVA. It tests the extent to which two groups differ. For example, a sports psychologist believes that a new workout method is able to increase the mental well-being of school basketball players. To test this, the psychologist may measure the well-being of the players before and after implementing the new workout method for 1 month. So, this is to show the difference. So, these are the methods used in analyzing quantitative data, descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. Next is qualitative method. Qualitative data is the data that cannot be expressed as a number. Quantitative, on the other hand, is expressed as a number, but in qualitative, the data cannot be expressed as number. Qualitative data consists of words, pictures, observations, and symbols. The examples of qualitative data includes audio recordings, video recordings, interview transcriptions, etc. Now let's see the steps involved in this method. First is becoming familiar with your data. You need to read and reread the data. Write down detailed notes and impressions and deciding which piece of data possesses value. The first step is to become familiar with your data. Next is coding into themes. This means to create categories and subcategories. Each category is an example of some thematic idea. The goal is to group data associated with some thematic idea which allows them to be explained together. The list of build themes represent your first set of codes. For example, if you are studying the eating habits of school students, then homemade food, fast food, vegetarian, non-vegetarian, etc. can come as themes and it can be made into codes. Next is searching for patterns and connections. Looking for the relative importance of data and identifying the relationship between data set or themes. That is searching for patterns and connections. You need to look for the relative importance of data and to identify the relationship between the data and the theme. Next is interpretation of data and drawing conclusion. You can choose the way to express or communicate your data analysis. Either you can use simply in words or maybe in table or charts. That is, you need to interpret the data and then you need to make conclusions. The result of your data analysis is the result of your data analysis process is used to decide your best course of action. Qualitative data analysis methods and techniques. First one is grounded theory. It involves forming a theory based on the gathered data. For example, suppose you have a handful of seed and you don't know what type of plant they will sprout. So what you do, you will plant them and water them and watch over them. Eventually when they sprout up and bloom, you will know that what they are. But you cannot tell just by looking at the seeds. Grounded theory is like that. The data is the seed, while the theory is the plant that eventually shows itself. Next is content analysis. That is, we analyze the content. It is a process of examining pre-selected words in video, audio or written medium and their context to identify the themes. Then quantifying them for statistical analysis to draw conclusion. The goal of qualitative content analysis is to organize text into a series of themes. The text can be various formats such as document, picture, video, audio, etc. For example, if you want to study how a household situation might impact a student's ability to read, we can simply look for this term, that is this content and its synonyms like household, parent, household situation, household influence, parental situation, home situation, etc. All these content we analyze it. Next is narrative analysis. It focuses on the ways in which people create and use different stories to interpret and explain the daily life and the world. For example, narrative about deciding to do higher studies. You can compare and contrast how different student participants oriented their stories. The similarities and the differences can be written down as you observe them. Next is discourse analysis. It is a field of linguistics that focuses on the role of language in the building of social reality. It studies the meaning that the use of language and spoken interaction produce and the context of these meanings. How a language can change a social reality. For example, in the context of university advertisement, education is often framed as a product rather than the right for citizen. Next is framework analysis. It identifies similarities and differences in qualitative data and thereby aims to draw descriptive or explanatory conclusions grouped in themes. For example, what are young people's experience of depression? In this case, feelings, relationship with parents, family background, etc. are studied. That is, all these things are grouped into themes. To study the experience of depression in youth, certain groupings are made like feelings, the relationship with parents, the family background, etc. And these framework are studied and analyzed to get a result. So these are the qualitative data analysis methods and techniques: grounded theory, content analysis, narrative analysis, discourse analysis, and framework analysis. Now let's have a quick recap on what we have learned. Analysis of data. It includes quantitative method and qualitative method. And in quantitative method, we studied the steps and analyzing the quantitative data. In qualitative method, we studied different steps and the qualitative data analysis methods and techniques. Hope you like this video. Please share. Thank you and keep smiling.